There's something psychology has discovered about people who treat birthdays like normal days, and most people completely miss it. They're often labeled as cold, ungrateful, or emotionally distant, but psychology shows that this label couldn't be more wrong. If this has ever described you, this might explain your mind in a way no one ever has before. If you've ever felt misunderstood, disconnected, or out of place when others make a big deal out of birthdays, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In many cases, it means your brain works differently. Psychology shows that people who treat birthdays like ordinary days often have higher self-awareness, deeper emotional processing, and stronger internal standards than the average person. And that difference changes everything. One of the first traits psychology consistently finds in people like this is emotional independence. You have very little tolerance for forced celebration, fake excitement, or social pressure to perform happiness. Research on self-awareness shows that as people become more psychologically mature, their need for external validation drops sharply. You don't need one specific day to feel valued. You don't need attention to feel seen. You'd rather experience genuine connection than scripted wishes and surface-level gestures. This isn't negativity. This is emotional self-sufficiency. Another key trait is your preference for meaning over symbolism. People who treat birthdays like normal days aren't avoiding joy. They're avoiding shallow rituals. Psychology shows that deeper thinkers often question traditions that don't carry personal meaning. You don't see value in celebrating time passing just for the sake of it. Instead, you value growth, progress, and inner milestones. That's why candles, cakes, and countdowns don't excite you the way they do others. Not because you don't care, but because meaning matters more to you than ceremony. You also tend to process emotions internally rather than outwardly. Your nervous system works differently. While others rely on external events to trigger happiness, your brain generates fulfillment from reflection, stability, and purpose. Psychology shows that people with this kind of deep processing don't attach their self-worth to dates on a calendar. Social attention can feel draining, especially when it's expected rather than organic. For you, solitude on your birthday doesn't feel lonely. It feels peaceful. Another rare trait is low dependence on external validation. Psychology shows that people who don't emphasize birthdays often don't rely on social affirmation to feel secure. You don't measure your value by how many messages you receive or who remembers the date. You're comfortable existing without being celebrated. This can make you seem distant or emotionally flat to others, but in reality, it's a sign of strong internal grounding. You don't need a spotlight to feel whole. There's also a trust-related layer to this mindset. Many people who treat birthdays like normal days learned early not to attach emotional expectations to others. Psychology shows that when expectations repeatedly lead to disappointment, the brain adapts by lowering emotional dependency. So instead of hoping people show up in a certain way, you remove the expectation altogether. You protect your peace by not placing emotional weight on one day. That's not bitterness. That's emotional intelligence shaped by experience. Here's what most people get wrong about you. They see your indifference and call it coldness. They see your calmness and call it apathy. They see your independence and call it detachment. But psychology sees emotional regulation, self-awareness, and a strong internal identity. Your mindset isn't broken. It's selective. Sometimes the people with the strongest minds don't need to be celebrated loudly. Not because they don't matter, but because they already know their worth. You're not antisocial. You're not ungrateful. You simply operate on a different psychological frequency, one that values depth over display. The traits that make you seem distant on birthdays are the same traits that create resilience, clarity, and emotional strength over time. In a world that seeks meaning through noise and attention, quiet self-worth is rare. If this felt personal, comment, "This explains me." And if you want psychology content that explains your personality in ways school never taught you, subscribe to your hidden psyche, because the next video might reveal something about yourself you've never realized.